Hi, everyone. I have the pleasure of interviewing and speaking and meeting Sarita SOL today. So trust you'll join us and we'll have, I think it's going to be a fun, interesting conversation. And so kind of where to begin. Sarita, why don't, I know that you've got the shaman in your title, and I know you're part of a retreat center. I know you sound very British to me, but you're living in France. And
Yeah.
so I'm just kind of curious, like what you'd like to share as a maybe just an introduction to you and your work and anything that's kind of brought you to where you are right now. And
Wow. Okay.
just a
Well,
few
first of
little
all,
things like that,
yeah,
you
just
know?
a little bit. Thank you for having me. It's
Sure.
lovely to be here. Gosh. Okay. So I guess where I am now is I seem to have acquired a title of shaman.
Hmm.
I'm not quite sure how that happened. I guess it was a road that was long in coming, and that I probably would have been aware of had I had self awareness, 45 years ago, or whatever. So I seem to have been on a sort of path of spiritual curiosity, let's say,
Hmm.
and deeply interested in healing.
Hmm.
I've had a lot of I've kind of had a lot of health issues myself, including cancer when I think I was 29. And I've always been interested in this path. And then I don't really know how I got here, to be honest with you. But I suddenly found myself doing a shamanic training during a midlife crisis point, and with no intention of teaching or anything like that. But what happened was, as I found myself in that training, which was purely because I was so lost,
Hmm.
in my life, emotionally, on so many levels. And as that training began, it was like coming home, essentially. And it was something that I'd always been searching for, that I didn't know I was searching for.
Hmm.
So that landed within me. I still didn't really have an awareness that I wanted to teach, but I wanted people to meditate with and do ceremony whilst I was learning all of this stuff. So I started to just ask people if they wanted to meditate with me in my local village. I started to run ceremonies. Someone said, put a meditation on YouTube. I was like, what's YouTube? So then I went to find out what YouTube was. And I went down this path, and, bit by bit, people started to follow me. And then I started to mentor people. And my channel started to grow. It kind of wasn't an intentional thing. I didn't really know what would happen with that.
Hmm.
And simultaneously, my husband and I, I'm British. We're living in France. We've been here quite a long time, since the children were tiny.
Hmm.
And my husband is an amazing. He's an amazing builder, but he makes beautiful spaces, actually. So he turned our home into a beautiful space, and I was like, let's get some people to run retreats here, still not thinking it would be me. And so we started to do that. And then more and more people started to follow me. I started to heal and mentor people. And then, actually, prior to the lockdown, interestingly
Hmm.
enough, we had literally a year before the lockdown, we'd started to run a couple of retreats, and I'd run my own retreat as well. I think 5 people came, and then
That's
just
okay.
before the lockdown, I started to receive a lot of what people now call downloads.
Okay.
Okay. So I started to receive all of this information into my body. And it was like, it wasn't coming from anything specific. So it wasn't channeling in the normal way. And I now understand that what was happening was I was accessing my deep intuition connected to source.
Cool.
Okay. So I wasn't channeling a specific entity or anything like that.
Hmm.
And I started to receive all these downloads, and they were just, it, if I didn't get it out, it would just they would hound me. So I started I have the channel, the YouTube channel. So I started to put this information out, and
Hmm.
it was quite eclectic information. It was about, how the heart of Gaia is changing from an iron core into a crystalline heart, why it was changing, what the geometry of that is, how that geometry is reflected in our heart center, who we actually are, what we're related to, what the fascia system is, what the nervous system is. So I was getting all of these insights around the microcosmic, macrocosmic aspects of us in relation to cosmos and earth. And sometimes I was getting downloads that were quite sort of physics or scientifically orientated. And then I would come in, look up what I received, and it would be like a thing, like a real thing, you know. And
that's cool. I was going to ask you if you had a science background. Yeah.
No, you see, I don't have a science background. I was always interested in biology and health and alternative medicine because of my own road. But anyway, so I started to, the channel started to get bigger, and then of course lockdown happened.
Yeah.
And then I started to teach all of the downloads that I'd received, like really teach them person to person. Yeah, and of course people were locked up, weren't they? So people meditate 20 years gone, okay, well now I'll meditate because I haven't got a job anymore. So in fact, it was my sister-in-law's idea. She said, Sarita, start a meditation group, you know, and a lot of people were joining. So this is kind of how it all began. And then after lockdown, people started to come more and more to the retreat center, and I started to really embody these teachings myself and hand them on to other people. And then what started to happen is I started to receive more downloads about specific teaching modalities, which essentially I created. But I don't think that, I think that, you know, when I say that, I think that's coming from a bigger pool, let's say. I wouldn't say I would, you know, say, ooh, you know, I created that and it was all me. I don't think it was like that. I think it was just like this information and knowledge that I'd received. And I started to create these modalities and I started to share them with people, and they started to heal from all kinds of things, you know, like just all kinds of stuff. And so I went down this kind of very experimental road. And what I sort of realized is that I feel like I know what the future is like, and I'm here to teach it. And so essentially a lot of what I teach is ahead of where we are now.
Yeah.
And luckily enough for me, I've landed in this, with these communities that are coming to me, these people that are coming to me, where I can share that experience and I don't sound a complete whack job. So it's not, I have this knowing that this is what, I have a knowing about who we are. And I don't, you know, I would say I don't really know how that knowing has appeared. I feel like I've been here before, whatever. So I teach these knowings in alignment to how we are creators and how we are sovereign beings and how we have the capacity to heal ourselves. Along this journey, I've, of course, come up against what I call the inverted matrix that I've been teaching. And it's something that I didn't really want to look at. I didn't want to go down the conspiracy road. You know, I remember David Icke talking about reptilians 20 years ago. I was like, oh, I'm not listening to that. I'm not listening to that. And so on this journey, I've had to really, in finding the truth of who we are and sharing it, or receiving the truth of who we are is a better way in sharing it. I've gone into that whole world of conspiracy. And what I feel like I've seen is the model or the quantum architecture that we need to embrace and become to recreate through the doorway of that conspiracy. So most conspiracy theories are fact, in fact. But what they do is they stop people in their tracks. And the model of reality is a very interesting setup, because the model of reality is there to, like a lot of spiritual communities understand that the model of reality mirrors back to us our internal state of being. But what they really don't get it. Essentially, it's an algorithm that you are creating. That's what reality is.
Uh-huh.
So every conspiracy has truth. Every
Uh-huh.
healing modality works.
Uh-huh.
Every detrimental thought or belief you have creates your reality.
Right.
And once humanity understands that, we begin to move out and beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've been receiving, understanding, embodying, teaching, and putting out there.
Yeah.
And along that journey, um, only 2.5 years ago now, I started to teach people to, and people started to call me shaman on that journey. I was like, am I? All right, okay then. You know, so I now embrace that title. I now realize I am a shaman because I don't know, thousands of people call me that,
Yeah.
and that's my job. Shamans heal community, humans, the
Mm-hmm.
earth. I'm not an animal healer, but I do all of the other stuff.
Yeah.
And so I've embraced my title and the responsibilities that come with that. And so
Uh-huh.
what I've now started to do is I've now started to teach people to be shamans. But what I do is I take the ancient architecture that was given to us,
Uh-huh.
that's come down through the ages by shamans, and I pull in the future that most people don't see yet into
Yeah.
that mix, and then I teach that.
Cool.
So that's where I am and what I do, and seems to be working. I'm
Yeah.
very much enjoying the path, and I'm just meeting some truly wonderful people. And I feel like what I'm doing is I'm teaching a new generation of humans to take up the mantle of what it is to be a shaman and then take that out into the world.
Uh-huh.
But within that, I am running retreats and healing and mentoring people who are just normal people who want to learn, who they are and want to expand their spirituality or want to heal themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
So
What are
that's me.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really do you have like is there a playlist on your YouTube channel where like if somebody just wanted to learn more about just the download like the information that you started sharing
Yeah,
to help
yeah,
people?
absolutely. So I mean, on my YouTube channel, I think there are about 400 or 500 videos. Most of them are meditations.
Uh-huh.
They're guided meditations or guided healings or
Yeah.
guided shamanic journeys. And all of them embody and embrace the aspects of what I've received in different ways.
Okay, that's
But
cool.
it's not like I received everything and then I handed it on. It was a journey for me as well. And
Yeah.
I've never pretended that I know everything. I've been on my own spiritual journey, and all I've
Yeah.
done is I've shared what I've received and what's worked for me as much as
Right.
I can in all of that. And then also on my website, there are courses that you can do which are
Oh, okay.
pre-recorded courses.
Uh-huh.
And then
Okay.
obviously, you can come actually here to France and go on retreat with me as well. So
Yeah, cool.
there's a lot of stuff that you can do.
Yeah. What are you finding right now? Like most of the people that are finding you, are they people that do want to take the learning teaching path or are they in need of healing? I mean, what would you say?
It's a mix. So I'm restricted with the teaching because I'm only now taking 24 students a year.
Okay.
So I'm restricted, and it gets full very quickly.
Okay.
And they study for 2 years with me. But I just did actually an online. Well, I'm in the middle of my first online introductory into quantum shamanism, if you like.
Uh-huh.
So everything's online. That's really cool. Really enjoying it. People are having profound experiences, and that's for anyone who's kind of curious. So I'll
Yeah.
probably, yeah. But what I'm seeing with people who come to me for mentoring or for healing is that what I'm really seeing is that people are now beginning to take responsibility for their own healing
Hmm.
and their own thoughts and experiences. So that reflection is beginning to be seen in the clarity that it should be if you
Hmm.
want to change, because we are moving out of an era of control and victim, perpetrator, rescuer triangulation or mindset, or
Mm-hmm.
a kind of energetic propulsion that has kept in place what I call this inverted matrix, which
Mm-hmm.
is essentially, we're on this planet, it's a third dimensional planet, and the stream of consciousness that we should be, if you like, embracing and feeling and involving and enveloping ourselves in, is or has been interrupted by a frequency bandwidth distortion from a variety of factions that aim to siphon consciousness.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, and it's falling apart and it's not working now anymore and that's the chaos that we're seeing. So
Yeah.
the chaos is precipitating people awakening to the fact that they're actually not victims of their circumstances.
Yeah.
So the
Let's
type of
trust
people
that.
that are coming,
Okay.
into my field, even if they've got
Yeah.
things like cancer or autoimmune conditions, or they're just in perpetual patterns of, dysregulation or lack or whatever it is, or even
Mm-hmm.
victimhood or, trauma and stuff like that, they're suddenly recognizing that they're the ones that need to sort this out, but not just in the terms of, like going to find some help, actually embodying and embracing the truth that they're the ones that created it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very different thing. And that's the way I'm teaching shamanism now. I teach people to heal themselves, because
Yeah.
traditionally shamans would almost be the surrogate for the healing of their client.
Uh-huh.
So they would take the disease into their own body, kind of alchemize it, I don't know, spit it out, transmute it, sort it out, do different things.
Yeah.
And then the person would be healed. And for the client or the patient, it was a kind of passive
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
And so I think what I'm doing now is I'm teaching it as an active process, that healing is an active, engaged process of self-initiation, responsibility, and therefore the people that are coming into my field are ready to receive that information. So I'm seeing a lot of people who are ready to retrieve their soul parts, to become fully ensouled in this realm.
Cool.
So a shaman has always, one of the jobs of a shaman is to, but basically like energetic kind of removal men or something, we literally find and replace and put things back where they come from. So
Hmm.
we deal a lot in soul retrieval
Uh-huh.
and depossession,
Mm-hmm.
and moving things out people's energy fields that shouldn't be there, and putting them back where they belong, and then bringing souls back and all that kind of stuff. So
Uh-huh.
I see a lot of people that are ready to become fully ensouled.
Uh-huh.
And that's really important, because in this, where we are now, is we are a species that has become very fragmented,
Mm.
disassociated,
Mm-hmm.
disempowered, and our soul parts have kind of scattered to the wind.
Mm-hmm.
And you've probably heard this idea that we're moving into a fifth dimensional consciousness,
Yeah.
this awakening.
Mm-hmm.
So the fifth dimension is essentially unity consciousness.
Right.
That's what it means, really. It's heart-centered unity consciousness. So
Mm-hmm.
it's moving from fragmentation into wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
So we need a certain amount of people on the planet to be willing to be fully ensouled. And once you're fully ensouled, you realize that you are whole, perfect, sovereign, and then you can move into a higher level of awareness, if you like.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a lot of people who are ready to do that, and through that to face their shadows, but not get so sucked into the shadow that they forget that they're the creators.
Right.
Because
Right.
I think what happens in the spiritual community is there's this you either get people, you get these, what I call them the love light brigade, and they're the people who are just manifesting, affirmating the whole time. They will not look at the dark. We mustn't look at that. We mustn't give it energy.
Uh-huh.
And that is great and it has its place, but that only works if you're also aware of your unconscious aspect,
Right.
which is actually running the show of your life if you don't deal with it. But then you can
Right.
get people like in the conspiracy realm who get so sucked into the shadow that they perpetually create more shadow.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So it's about having both of these parts, which is the, to me, the infinity symbol. It's, you
Well, that's a
recognize
really
that
cool way to see it. Yeah.
we're in polarity, aren't we? So we
Yeah.
need to move in perpetual energy through both.
Yeah.
And then you become an infinite energy source, which is actually the truth of who you are. That
Yeah.
you embody that, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. I think one of the things that I see happening is as much as you want to, like you were saying earlier about Ike's, statement, and you were like, oh, I don't want to think about that or whatever, like at some point, whatever's most relevant to your need to move forward on a subconscious level, whatever goal you have or why you came here, whatever, it will surface.
It will. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, I think one of the things that I've really understood on this road is to try as much as possible, because we've all got egos, to drop the need to be right.
Yeah.
So I think what happens is because we are wired or have been wired for survival, thinking that we are material beings. When
Yeah.
you're faced with something like Ike's reptilian offering,
Yeah.
which in my opinion is just obvious now. You know, back then I didn't want to look at it. I was younger. I was like, no, I'm not looking at that,
Yeah.
or what, a lot of things I didn't want to look at.
Hmm.
Um, because it didn't fit with my ideological idea of what spirituality was all about, because I
Yeah.
was wired for survival. I wanted to feel okay. I didn't want to feel worse than I already did being a soul on this planet. You know, it's traumatizing being a pure
Right.
little soul. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all pure little souls. I'm not saying so you're like a pure little soul, and then you get put, we choose to come into this reality, and it's not
Right.
an easy ride, is it? So you get
Yeah.
faced with these things that are just like, whoa, I'm not looking at that. Um, and and so we want to be right about what we think our beliefs are.
Yeah.
But those beliefs are running in accordance with a need to survive.
Yeah.
And when you actually are willing to be wrong, what immediately happens is the scope of your perceptions opens.
Yeah.
And as you embrace that, it's quite scary, but fear becomes something you can apply curiosity to, as opposed to doing everything you can to not feel it or numb yourself
Right.
from it or hide from it and all of those kind of things. So I think that's an important thing. And I think as I've dropped the need to be right, what's happened is I've began to perceive that there isn't one reality. This
Right.
was this was a biggie for me.
That puts you
I was
back
like,
in control.
there isn't just one Earth, for example.
Yeah.
There isn't just one you. There isn't just one timeline. We are living in an infinite
Yeah.
multiverse.
Why are we here?
Yeah. So actually, and then
What
that's
is this
also
all
like
about?
scary. Exactly. But as you start to drop that,
Yeah.
um, things start to open for you and you begin to realize that you're infinite. And as you do
Yeah.
that, um, it's not necessarily that the fear leaves you, it's that it's something that you could apply curiosity to.
Yeah.
So that
I like that.
stops you from developing
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. What do you think about this
Um,
whole thing around the need to belong? How does that tie? That kind of ties into that, right? Like
yeah, I mean, I think humans, I think our tiny individuated human aspect wants to belong because that's the stuff of the ego and the fight, flight, freeze or fawn aspect that we've been programmed into believing is the truth,
hmm
that we're finite. So um, we literally believe that if we're ostracized, we'll die.
right.
So we need to belong. But the truth is that you are the creator. You are part of the all that is. You always belong. You cannot die.
Yeah.
You are in me. I am in you. In fact, the only reason I exist is because you're speaking to me right now, and vice versa. And most importantly, I think you belong to yourself.
Right.
So we have this idea that we are alone. I see this a lot because I work with a lot of trauma, shadow trauma work.
Yeah.
And when soul parts come back for people, they suddenly, the loneliness and the isolation and the I'm wrong and I'm not special and nobody loves me all falls away
Mm-hmm.
because they start to belong to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the most beautiful love affair you could possibly have.
Right.
And it totally changes people's perception, because the out there is a mirror of your internal state.
Mm-hmm.
As you start to belong to yourself, you start to fall in love with yourself, you start to look after yourself, you start to, you don't care what anyone else thinks about you. You're having like the best time ever with yourself. Everyone around you wants to love you too.
Yeah.
Like you're magnetic now.
Yeah.
And um when you embody and embrace the truth of yourself, and that is a truth of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you literally become magnetic. So it's like your superpowers kind of, they magnify essentially.
Yeah.
So any, and I don't know if you're having this experience, and manifestation is speeding up, like it's getting
Oh,
balmy.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You think something and the next minute, bang, it sort of
Yeah. Especially if
arrives.
you have no attachment to it,
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's, yeah. I mean, my sense is we're kind of moving back. The planet's kind of going back into its original alignment. And, and what I know from that is it's when we knew, we were gods on this planet, we
Yeah.
were, and, so a lot of the things that you're saying resonate with me, and the things on your channel really resonated with me. And I would think you had mentioned on your site there's like a intro to the uh, shaman work,
Yeah.
that people are doing that and healing just by doing that intro. I would think. Is that what
Yeah,
your
no, they are.
experience
I
has
mean,
been?
I do try and warn people. But what happens when you start any type of shamanic work is
Yeah.
everything in your life that isn't serving you blows up. So it's kind of a rite of passage. And as that happens, um, if you're willing to embrace that, so in other words, embrace what it is you haven't looked at, because the shamanic process is always a death and rebirth process. You can't
Uh-huh.
rebirth yourself if you're not willing to let go of the stuff that isn't serving you.
Right.
There's like, you know you have spaces and
Yeah.
things go in and out of the spaces, so you've got to make space
Uh-huh.
for something new to come in. So when people embark on the kind of shamanic journey, things blow up. The relationship that they never wanted to really look at because it was like comfortable and easy, but actually they weren't really having it, blows up. They lose their job. They get sick because what's buried deep inside them comes to the surface. So it's not they've got sick, it's that they're now seeing what they've been holding.
Yeah.
So it's not like you would get cancer, let's say, from doing the shamanic process, is that it rises more quickly than if you left it festering, until the last moment.
Yeah.
So that happens a lot. Obviously, the students, I've been watching my students for 2 years, and the first year, everything blows up.
Yeah.
It just blow. They're kind of hardcore. My students, they're amazing. But then the second year, they're still there. The second year, it starts to come together. And then things flower in ways they could never have expected, just
Yeah.
like it's happened for me.
Yeah.
Like listen, I still have issues I have to deal with. It's not like it doesn't happen every day. It's
You're
not like I don't
human.
get triggered, whatever.
Yeah.
But everything that comes, I'm like, okay, wow, what's this teaching me? sometimes it really hurts, sometimes it feels impossible, like I can't go on, but on the whole I'm having the best time ever,
That's
you
cool.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I see in my students as well, and I see that a lot with people who come on retreat, because you come here for 5 days and you are forced to look at yourself
Yeah.
in a beautiful way. Like, we hold you in love, but
Yeah.
there's no, you can't not look.
Right.
It's like, look at this. So, and we do, whether we do quite a lot of different stuff. So I've taken stuff from all kinds of things and all kinds of shamanic traditions,
That's
and
cool.
then remade them or whatever. So I don't follow specific lineage, but we're doing like breath work, somatic work, meditation, we're doing ceremony, we're doing
Wow.
just
A
just
lot. 5 days.
so much stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
witnessing, circle. You come on retreat here. We're working from 10 till 10 for 5 days.
Wow.
Okay. You get breaks. Everyone's having a lovely time. It's beautiful. Obviously, you get to eat, whatever. It's amazing as well.
Uh-huh.
But you don't leave the same person.
That's
You just
cool.
don't. Yeah. So
Where is your retreat center? Where's your home?
so we're about an hour from Bordeaux airport
Okay.
in southwest France. And we're just like
Oh, that's
in
supposed to
a
be
little
beautiful there.
farmhouse on the top of a hill.
That's cool. I bet it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. And also there's when I first got to this house, before I started my kind of shamanic studies, I had an overwhelming compulsion. I was telling you about the compulsions I have to get out,
Yeah.
to build a stone circle.
Oh.
And my husband, we've just moved in, and my husband's renovating. I'm like, darling, I need to build a stone circle. He's like, fine. I'm like, could you get me some like giant rocks from somewhere? Anyway, I had a friend of mine. I had my sister-in-law staying here, and she's called Sol, SOL.
Okay.
And uh, so anyway, Hamish and my brother and some other boys got some giant rocks and put them on the back of our pickup truck. And me and Sol went down to a place on my land, and she's tiny and I'm 5'2". I'm tiny as well. She's tinier than me. And so I designed this circle in the shape of a sunflower. And then we drove around the pickup truck stopping. And then we would like both heave one stone out,
Wow.
and it would, and so we sort of designed this thing. And
Cool.
eventually we got it into like the sunflower shape I wanted, with certain rocks facing a certain way at the solstice. I hadn't even started, I hadn't even started my shamanic path, and I just had to do this or it wasn't going to leave me alone.
That's awesome.
And then also the other thing that was weird was I put two rocks. I wanted to put my little mind wanted to put one rock in the middle,
Uh-huh.
but I wasn't allowed to do that. I put two rocks in the middle in the end, and I was like, this
Cool.
looks ridiculous. I don't know why I've done this. And then when I started my shamanic work, I was taught this method called walking the eight, where you walk between two pebbles in a figure of eight.
Oh, cool.
And you use that technique to manifest, to heal, to enter different realities and dimensions.
Uh-huh.
And so in the middle of my stone circle were these two big rocks, and I would walk between them and I would receive. That's when I started to receive the downloads that I then used after the lockdown.
That's awesome.
So it all just kind of fitted
Yeah.
together bit by bit. So that's why I called the place Solhenge, after my sister-in-law. And
Okay.
then somehow I was being called Sarita at Solhenge. That was too long-winded. So I just changed it to Sarita Sol, and that's how I got here.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
cool.
know. It's
And
just
it's a
what
great
happened.
example of just trusting without knowing, you know, like I mean, it's
Yeah,
not like you had to
it's been
bump
an
up against a
organic
wall to
journey.
put two stones in there, but you just listen to that, you know?
Yeah. No, exactly. And there's been a lot of weird things that have happened to send me on this path. So a lot of very strange occurrences and synchronicities, and too
Hmm.
many to even name and number.
Hmm.
So here I am. And I think that because we're essentially living in an algorithmic reality, when you, me, people listening to this actually start to find that they are on the path of their purpose, the synchronicities come faster and quicker.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people say this, oh, you know, I see 111 everywhere, or these are just like little things. I'm talking about actual synchronicities that move you. They
Right.
call you, you know, they
Right.
call you. And the
Right.
more you step into your purpose, the more like, oh, I recognize this symbol that's appearing in my field, and they move towards it, and then the next symbol appears. Because essentially, the easiest way to understand how this reality works is to think of it like a video game,
Yeah.
which would have been an analogy we would not have been able to even consider 30 years ago.
Right. Right.
I only understood that we were in an algorithmic reality in the lockdown when um when I started to see things that I was talking about in the vicinity of my phone appearing on my news feed. Okay. Everyone's had
Mhm.
that experience. Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of us had it because we were on our devices all of the time in the lockdown. I was on my device a lot because I was teaching,
Yeah.
but other people just on their devices because they didn't have anything where to go. I mean, I'm lucky I had a garden and everything. But so I started to see this correlation between the news feed and what I was speaking.
Hmm.
Okay. Everyone's seen that. Then I started to see this weird thing where I would think something and it would appear on my newsfeed. And
Oh,
it would be something that I thought about, I hadn't told anybody about. And I was
yeah.
like, wow, there really are, what's going on here? You know, and I was
Yeah.
already receiving some interesting insights.
Uh-huh.
But
That's cool.
then from that, having an algorithm in a news feed, which was obvious, I suddenly understood that all of this was a news feed.
Yeah.
This is an algorithmic news feed.
Yeah.
It's feeding you, it's feeding you, it's affirming your own beliefs.
Right.
That's how you play the game.
Hmm.
If you know that, the game becomes exponentially more fun, more abundant, more interesting.
Right.
You can play with it and hit new levels and things like that. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then also, when you understand that, you don't worry about things like the lockdown or, if the control or the people in politics or whatever the stuff is are
Yeah.
trying to do something to you. Change the feed. I mean, have
Yeah.
you ever had it in your feed where, I don't know if you're even on Instagram or something, but let's say you're scrolling on Instagram and suddenly your Instagram goes a bit funny, like it's got something like dark coming, and you're just like, whoa, okay. And so
Uh-huh.
if you scroll really fast and you decide to look at like cuddly kittens, you'll suddenly get 300 cuddly kittens and puppy dog stories, and now your newsfeed is like much nicer. You know what I mean? So it's the same
Yeah.
thing as you
Yeah.
change what you want, you change your perceptions, and you change the way you feel about it.
Yeah.
And because of the energy speeding up,
Yeah.
the algorithm of life is speeding up more quickly, and you'll see results more quickly there.
Yeah. I want to show you this because you're talking about it, but I just published a little short book for children on their
Oh
energy
wow.
field to remember, because when kids are little, they see all the colors around us, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
this is what you're talking about. Like it encourages them to like think of the toy like the elephant or whatever, or just think of an elephant, and then you don't know where it's going to show up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's amazing.
So
That's
anyway, that was
amazing.
like as soon as you started talking about that, yeah.
And also
So
the thing
I'm
is,
gonna
it's
scroll.
great you've written a
I'm gonna
book for
make sure I
children.
scroll for kittens when I see something crazy like pop up on my feed.
Yeah, yeah. Just think about kittens, you'll be fine. But oh, I've lost the thread of what I was going to say. Oh, yes. Yeah, so the other thing is, so it's really important that you're teaching that to children, because we've been indoctrinated into the idea that the imagination is an arbitrary, unnecessary thing, and that we shouldn't daydream and all of that kind of stuff. It's like, it's like beaten out of us almost.
Yeah,
And the imaginal field is how we create reality.
right.
essentially we are on the body of a deity called Sophia Gaia, who's dreaming this. We're part of her dream.
Ooh, get chills. Yeah.
And
Cool. Go
so
ahead. Sorry to
we
interrupt you.
yeah, so we've got to understand that our daydreaming, the imaginal realm, is literally what calls plasma to be made manifest into crystallized form,
Yeah.
light frequency and information that shows up in this field.
Like to support that, like Thomas Edison, who was a big inventor in the United States, he would take naps holding like I don't know, object. And when it dropped, when he went into that state, like he would go in with an intention to try to figure something out. And when that dropped out of his hand, he would come out of that kind of the start of the daydream state, and
You'd have the answer.
have the answer. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think I heard about that as well. And
Yeah.
of course, because it's all because your brain, well, your brain is in your head, but what you know isn't in your head.
Right.
Your brain is just a transmitter for the field.
Right.
So you have access to everything that's ever been thought, may have been thought, hasn't been thought of yet,
Yeah.
constantly entangled with everyone and everything else. So
Yeah.
it's just, how are you accessing that? Have you chosen to engage in a belief that you are a solo material person living in a material realm? And if you want to invent something, you've got to do it in a kind of piece by piece method. Or are you embracing the idea that inspiration can come through an imaginal realm from an infinite field,
Yeah.
like Edison did? So whatever your true belief is, because the unconscious plays a part here. We think we have these beliefs, but actually our unconscious beliefs play a part. But
Yeah.
whatever your actual belief is what you'll receive, what will show
Right.
up in your field. And you said something really personal earlier. You said manifestation occurs when I'm not attached to it.
Yeah, faster for sure.
Faster. Because the true creator has no attachment to outcome. The creator is just create. Let's think about the creator as a man in the sky. He isn't, but we'll just put it like
Yeah.
that. So you're
Okay.
like a fragmented aspect of the man in the sky.
Yeah.
You're like the mini me. Okay. So the
Uh-huh.
creator, man in the sky, doesn't give a monkeys what is created.
Right.
To him, he's not a him, but to him, I'm not going to use the word God because that is the wrong word for the creator. So to the
Uh-huh.
creator, suffering is just as valid as joy. Winning the lottery is just as important as living in a hovel in Africa.
Yeah.
The creator wants to create and know itself through the act of creation and experience. Okay, so the creator is essentially neutral.
Mm-hmm.
The creator is a container. The creator is not going to say to you, I don't want you to suffer. I'm only going to bring you good things. The creator is going to say to you, whatever you want, you do. I'm great with it. Okay. So if you're
Right.
holding an unconscious belief to suffer,
Uh-huh.
and that's what plays out, the creator's great with that. So essentially, the creator's a container for all creation.
Uh-huh.
Okay. When you are neutral,
Mm-hmm.
you can put thought out there, I want a pink Lamborghini, but actually you're neutral about it.
Uh-huh.
You become a creator. Or let's say you put the thought out there, I want a vehicle where to go fast, where I feel euphoric and I'm having so much fun in that vehicle. That's a better way to manifest. Okay.
Yeah.
So you put that out, you're neutral about how it occurs, when it occurs, or what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
And because you're neutral and you're the container, it comes faster because you're embodying what the creator actually is.
That's cool.
When you want the vehicle because you're scared about what other people think about you and you need to feel cool, otherwise you won't be accepted,
Uh-huh.
or you want money because you actually feel unsafe, now you have attachment and you're running from an unconscious program of lack,
Uh-huh.
right?
Right.
And so what is going to meet you in your field is going to be lack because you've actually attached to lack.
Hmm.
without even realizing it. So neutrality is the best way to manifest.
Cool. That was great explanation.
Yeah, that's why it works so fast. I mean, you worked
Yeah.
out with neutrality. You don't really need to know why, but yeah, great.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. I knew I went through, it was interesting. We were just talking about some of your teachings and how they come through in a way where, like, even to what you're just saying, not necessarily intentional. Like, I did one of your meditations on your YouTube channel with um, clearing going into different layers of your energy field and embracing anything that comes up, like I guess that's sort of a little bit of this somatic sort of work or whatever, but
Yeah, so it was, I think there's one where you embrace pain. Was that the
yeah, well,
one?
you embraced a bunch of different things. It was
Yeah,
like,
probably.
I can't remember them all now. And in fact, you were like,
Yeah.
okay, ready to go to the next one. So I paused it because I was like, no, it moved. I'm gonna
Yeah,
follow
yeah,
it,
yeah.
And so I kind of followed it through my body and stuff.
Yeah.
But in essence, I was like, as you were talking, I was realizing that uh, these different ways of teaching come through, even if it's just a meditation. It's like you're strengthening a muscle or opening up an area of insight that you have on a subconscious level around different things, right? And it
Yeah,
empowers you
absolutely.
at a level as well, right? Like, or feels like it does. Like if you
Yeah,
knew,
no, it does empower you. Yeah.
yeah, it's cool.
Because what all the stuff I teach does, I think I said
Hmm.
that right, is we are not ascending by going out there into other dimensions.
Thank you.
That's great, but it's
Yeah,
great. It's only one half of it.
yeah,
We're humans. We are earthling and cosmic being both.
yeah,
We have a physical aspect and an informational or energetic aspect. So we are literally particle and wave. We actually never collapse completely into particle because the particle will move again into a wave the minute we don't look at it.
yeah,
Okay, or we're not in touch with it. But there is a part of us, it's very minute, that is matter. That's what
yeah,
gives us a sensory experience. So the way that we are ascending is through the body,
right.
on the body of Gaia, because we are part of Gaia. And
Yeah,
essentially, she's ascending, so we're going with her.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
it. And I think this gets lost, and it gets lost in a lot of the ancient, esoteric, Eastern philosophies. Probably not in their original form, but it's like Chinese whispers. It's all become a bit, distorted and things like that. So
yeah,
what I've understood is when you go inside yourself and feel everything within you, whether that's pain, suffering, joy, physical ailment, stuck energy, trauma, whatever it is, as we go deeper inside ourselves and we feel who we are, um, we know ourselves better.
hmm,
And in fact, the act of being in the presence of ourselves changes the changes us.
yeah,
That's why when you let's say go into let's say you've got physical pain and you go right into the center of it, and if you keep going into the center of it, you'll discover that there's an infinite well to you because you're actually an infinite being. So you could go into physical pain and then you suddenly have an image from childhood, and then you will go into the image, and then you'll suddenly feel an emotion, and you'll go into that and you'll find another emotion, you'll go into that and find another emotion, and at some point if you keep doing that, it'll suddenly go,
right.
and you'll become the container again.
Yeah,
You'll become neutral
yeah,
because
that's cool.
all of that is just experience that's showing you who you are. And when you get to the core of who you are, you're a creator.
Yeah,
So it works really amazingly with like trauma work. But most people are so frightened of feeling the trauma that they'll do
yeah,
anything not to feel it. And actually, when they feel it, they go, oh, actually, this sadness that I've been carrying around, when I went into the middle of it, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And I spent 20 years avoiding that by drinking beer or
right.
whatever it is, whatever the thing
Yeah,
is, the way they've been avoiding it, or,
yeah,
so essentially, healing disease is about the act of moving from separation consciousness, so not feeling who you are,
Uh-huh.
to unity consciousness, because all disease is separation and all healing is unity.
Yeah.
You go into the feeling of separation, you recall your attention back to yourself. So
Yeah.
instead of going out there into a perceived material realm to find who you are, you go in.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, that's my knowing too. Everything is through kind of through the body.
Yeah.
I did this, I started a film where it's not finished. And it's been one of those things that it's been, why is this not done? I had a friend 2 years ago say, why aren't you finished yet? But then I ended up doing interviews with different people and but we were using Kirlian based photography with the biofeedback plates to take images of the electromagnetic field or the auric field
Around the body
around the
or other
body.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've got like, we had volunteers show up at my house. This is when I lived in Sedona that showed up at the house. Like I didn't even know were coming, like I didn't
Yeah, if
know
you
these
were in
people.
Sedona, people would have just shown up at your door.
Yeah.
I'm
I was
supposed
like,
to
who
be
are
here. And
these?
you're like, yeah, I need a volunteer. And then they come,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I couldn't have scripted it. I mean, just totally like the people and
Yeah.
the objects that they brought. So we did before and after photos
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
to kind of document changes. And there's a woman named Rebecca Dawson who channels these master energies. So it's kind of asking them some questions about some of the stuff we saw. I could probably ask you kind of some of the similar questions, but like it really was like this exercise, and just like you said, is we are this incredible energy, that has loving guidance and support from past loved ones, from angelic, and however you want to describe these energies in a loving kind of beautiful way. It's like they are all around us trying to support us. And for me, that's one of those messages in this film that I really trust will come out however, it's whenever it's supposed to come out. um but yeah, to your point, yeah, it's just like we are this, like there's this, I mean, there's a reason for the body for sure. It's like this incredible regenerative, sort of, I don't know how you want to, call it we're a tool, crystalline energy, whatever, like, but we're mostly energy, you know, and and it's anyway, and so beautiful to see that in photos, and to give image to what you're talking about. Um,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I think the body aspect part is it just offers us the opportunity to have a sensory experience here. And
yeah,
then if you like, emanate the qualities of that sensory experience out on a multi-sensory, multi-dimensional way.
yeah,
Because everything is entangled with everything else.
yeah,
So if we're having this unique experience where we have access to senses,
hmm,
then we're receiving this information, and it's like, what do we do with it, and how do we express that then, and how does it transmute and alchemize and change, and what can we offer from that to everyone else and everything else within, not just this planet, all the species, but back out into the cosmos. So
yeah,
it's a really unique and beautiful thing we're having. But if you're going to have all of your senses awake, you don't just get to feel pleasure. If you want to like cuddle a baby, there's something so amazing about that.
yeah,
But it also means that you can burn your skin in a fire. You
right,
know, we you there's the full plethora of what we can sense.
yeah,
So we're in this, and it can feel very overwhelming,
uh-huh,
I think. which is why we're always trying to gravitate towards the pleasure bit, but not the pain bit. But I think it's because it's like we've been conditioned not to feel pain, but actually, when you go into pain, it's not that bad.
Right.
It's just a sensation. It's like I often say to people, like when they're scared, I'm like, actually, if you were to describe fear in the body, it's like I wrote this on a mail shot the other day. It feels like your stomach's churning, you're sweating, you're hot and cold, you're scared, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But that sensation is exactly the same as when you're excited.
Right.
It's the
Yeah.
same stuff. So
Yeah.
it's like, what are you attributing to it?
Yeah.
So, and that's what I'm saying is
Interesting.
like, even so now I get triggered, and instead of saying I'm suffering, which I am if I'm being triggered, but I go, oh, that's interesting. Why did I create that? And so the
Yeah.
application of curiosity takes me through the suffering more quickly.
Yeah.
So I'm less stuck in the sort of the nitty gritty of the suffering, and I'm more moving through it as a sensory experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah. 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 I like using the word interest. I started some on some level, I started using the word interesting when something was I would see something and it would there were different ways of experiencing something, usually kind of more in a maybe a negative way or even just tasting something, that didn't necessarily taste all that good. I would say, oh, that's interesting, and there was something just in saying that energetically that detached me from I probably wouldn't say the word suffering, but probably suffering is a good
Yeah, I mean
word.
that's very clever because essentially, if we're frequency, well, we not if we are frequency based beings, then
Yeah,
everything you say is an application affecting your frequency because it's coming out of you,
yeah,
or through you or from you, however you want to like see this whole thing. That's
yeah,
very clever because the word interesting has its own frequency implications for everything within its field. So, you're already seeing the instant manifestation of that.
yeah. That's interesting.
Yes, yeah,
I say
it's
that a lot.
interesting.
But okay, so Sarita, let me ask you this, like, uh, as far as manifesting goes, and there's all these mantra things, like around the I ams but I heard this really interesting, and I do have my own thing that I go through where I try to embody different things work that I want to experience more of, I try to do it in that deserving, worthy kind of space. But I also heard something interesting the other day, which was asking why. So, like, let's say, you know, uh, I want, I don't know. Let's say just use the word like, I am a pink Lamborghini owner or or whatever. But
Right.
then you could say, why am I a pink Lamborghini owner? What do you think about the use of the word why with energy in
um, I think why is great. I don't know. Because I've spent my whole life trying to find out why am I here? Who am I?
Oh,
Where did I
interesting.
come from? And where am I going to?
Yeah.
So essentially, the question mark has led me on an amazingly merry dance.
That's
Not
awesome.
not always a a fun one, but
Yeah.
I think the why has been the trajectory of what has held me accountable to myself, um, and to my reality. So for me, the why is important
Uh-huh.
and pertinent to my own experience. But to someone else, the why could be what's holding them back from surrender.
Uh,
So, you know, that's why the shadow work's so important because, when you really look, essentially when because your unconscious brain is a
yeah.
bigger supercomputer than your conscious brain.
Yeah.
One needs to be mindful of why one is doing something.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, to truly do that, you've got to be able to access the deep, dark interior of the shadow, the unconscious.
Yeah.
So, you know, often on my path of why, I've had to look at, why am I doing this? And I've had to face some uh, unpleasant, let's say, truths about myself. So
Uh-huh.
I'm controlling, which is why I wanted to learn to manifest, because I didn't feel safe as a child.
Yeah.
Um, I want to heal everybody because I'm absolutely embedded in the victim, savior, perpetration complex. So all the way
Hmm.
along, um, I've had to look at the why on many different levels in order to actually get to my truth. And like I said earlier, I've had to let go of the need to be right, because my
Yeah.
why is the truth is more important to me now than anything. But the truth is moves.
Yeah.
I don't even know what truth is anymore. Like it expands, it moves, it like does all this kind of weird stuff. Not it does all this weird stuff. So for me, I think why is the best question ever, but it might not be the case for someone else. And I
Yeah.
think if the why is a beautiful tool to take you deeper.
Yeah. That's cool. Oh, for some reason I want to mention, and I don't know, are you familiar with the gene keys?
Um, Not that familiar, but please do mention it.
Okay, so when you and it's for free on their site to just do your initial thing.
I think I did my initial and I couldn't remember what it said.
Yeah. Well, that was
Once
the
when I was,
interesting.
yeah.
So I was just thinking about like what you're talking about, like the shadow, because what it does is it does say, these are some of your gifts in these different areas, and then these are your shadow or Achilles heel, sort of around it. And I found it to be very accurate. Now, I mean, I might maybe I'd look at yours and I'd find yours accurate. I have no idea, right? But I remember looking at mine and thinking, "Oh, this is accurate." And then, like you said, like some of the words are like, "What does this word mean?" Like, because one of the shadow things was dislocation, and I'm like dislocation, and immediately I thought of home, and then I said, that's what I thought of. And so then I went and I looked that word up. I asked a friend who was really in gene keys, and they're like, no, 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 it doesn't mean that at all. It means like when you're not part of community, or the people you love, you don't feel like you feel dislocated from them. And I was like, oh my God, that is one of my shadow things, so anyway, so I just was thinking that for people that maybe are listening to this and they've never really thought about potential what a shadow is, or like really what kind of what that means, that might be a resource, and you may have other resources for people to kind of look at where they feel uh the shadow of either limiting them in some way, or not connected, whatever that suffering, I guess, is for that person. So I mean, how do, like, if somebody
I
were
think,
to,
I mean, yeah, I would say that all of those kind of tools are helpful. And I would also say that what you receive into your field, so the fact that you receive the gene keys into your field,
Mhm.
is algorithmically mirroring the level of consciousness that you are at in order that you engage with that so that you can know yourself better.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah,
Remember, everything is a reflection of how you think and feel about yourself. So the
yeah.
gene keys could only come into your field if you were holding a resonant frequency match to that piece of information. Okay.
Hmm.
And I would
Interesting.
say, I think his name is Richard, I can't remember his surname.
Yeah.
Anyway, his energy, I've heard him speak on a couple of podcasts, and I find his energy beautiful.
Yeah.
He emanates to me. He has an emanation of truth,
Yeah.
but it's his truth
Right.
and yours in accordance with that. But if you were to go and do something else, like have a tarot card reading,
Uh-huh.
that would also be an algorithmic response to your internal state.
Yeah. I
And
love
at the
it.
end of the day,
Yeah.
the fact, not, I'm not saying this about you, but if you're looking for validation out there, that's where you'll get it.
Yeah.
But equally, you could have received all of that information from going within.
Yeah.
And I think what we're ultimately
That's cool.
aiming for here, in
Yeah.
terms of quantum leaps for humanity, is to receive the information, or rather know the information from the inside out.
Yeah.
So you've got
That's
some
perfect.
people, yeah, that are receiving information from their politicians or their doctors, because
Yeah. Or TikTok.
that's the level of consciousness that they're at. Sorry.
Or TikTok.
Or TikTok, because that's the level of consciousness that they're at. And
Yeah.
it's not that that information is bad or good. There is actually no bad or good. There's
Right. Right.
just
I'm not putting down
of
anything.
reality. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
so the chances are, if you tap into gene keys, you are going to receive exactly what you are creating when you tap into it.
Yeah.
And then, even if you went, that doesn't resonate with me at all, is absolutely having an effect on you in some way. And it wouldn't be, you wouldn't even be able to see it in your field if there wasn't a resonant frequency match, because
Yeah.
it's a response to your internal state.
Yeah. 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 No, I love that. Yeah. You know, like if somebody told me the other day, even Chat GPT will do a tarot reading for you. And so I did. I asked it a question. It was actually very positive. And so I was
It's
like,
the same
I
thing.
asked
Chat
my friend,
GBT,
I
yeah.
said, does it ever say anything negative to you? You know, because, you know, anytime you're on in my experience with Gemini or Chat or any of these ones, it's always like, you're the most beautiful person. You're the most amazing person ever, right? I don't know if you've
But
looked.
the thing is, it's reflecting your internal state. It's just another mechanism. And the thing is, there are many. I mean, there was that horrific story about that. There was a young teenager, I think it was in America, and he was suicidal, and he went on ChatGPT, and it started to affirm back to
Yeah,
him his need to kill himself, which is what eventually happened. It's the saddest story ever.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. And so the thing is, ChatGPT is not, I mean, you know this, I'm just saying this, but
yeah,
it's not a be all and end all of information. Neither is the gene keys, neither is what I'm saying, neither
yeah,
is, nothing is. The highest form of communication or um, information that you can receive is internally.
yeah.
You could have written your own tarot reading, but it's more fun if you're in 3D to have it reflected back to you like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I think we need
yeah,
to
it's
be
interesting.
careful with things like ChatGPT, because just like the news or the politicians program us,
Yeah,
AI is a mimicry of um it's a mimicry of life.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
mimicry of reality,
yeah,
which looks really real.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so, um, and this is, and that's because the infrastructure, the frequency bandwidth infrastructure of the inverted matrix is an AI program.
hmm,
This is not the conclusion I wanted to come to after my whole lifetime of spiritual seeking, but that is not what I wanted. I wanted, come here, it's a lovely school, and then the angels let you and you go to heaven, and that is not the information I wanted to get.
Yeah,
Nevertheless, that is the, I guess it's the place where I have arrived at. But even as I'm speaking that, be mindful, this is my internal truth being
Yeah.
offered to you.
Yeah.
But I think essentially everything within this inverted matrix is a mimicry of reality. That's why everything feels upside down, because education doesn't teach, the governments don't look after you, doctors don't cure you, they create more illness.
Yeah.
Everything is banks steal, they don't look after money. There's nothing. If you really looked at everything that this infrastructure is made out of, you will see it's inverted.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, and I think that, personally, I think, the way we have focused on things originally, thinking that, these things were helpful for us or whatever, kept them in their place. And I think you and I agree on, maybe I saw something on this, but it's like as people start questioning all these things, those paradigms, those things start, crumbling. And
yeah, they do.
we're seeing that. And I know that we all wanted to be here at this time. So I know that there's that aspect, right? Like it's okay, like let's see where this goes, like it's very interesting. you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I mean, the fact that we're seeing chaos and people are awakening tells us that the algorithm of the reality is, as a consensus, is changing,
Yeah.
because humans are an empathic collective species. So
Yeah.
it's like 100th monkey. When a certain amount of people
Yeah.
start to awake, everything starts to shift in the external algorithm of the reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Um so like okay, so before we close, I want to just ask you, like, so if I said to you, like, what do you think you are? Now you've talked a lot about this reality and this particle that we are and all this stuff, like, but if for what would you share, like, when I say,
I would say that I am a human asleep on the body of Sophia Gaia, experiencing myself within a dream within a dream.
oh wow, cool.
That's what I think is going on.
I love that. That's going
That's
to
what
be
that's where I am now. Could be different in 5 years, but anyway, that's what I've got to now.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's been such a great conversation, and to meet you and hear about all the beautiful things that you're doing in the world and how you got there, and a little bit of the story about how you got there. And so how should people get in touch with you? Like, what are the best ways, like, to find out more? I'll
Yeah,
put
I
your
mean, if
information below, but it'd be good to just have it on the audio video here.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so essentially my website is the best place really, which is www.sarita-sol.com. And
Okay.
so there's loads of free stuff on there, loads of courses, and you could join the mailing list and get the mail shots and different things that are coming out. I do lots of stuff for free because I think it's important, and I run Sacred Circle for free once a month for whoever wants to come.
Cool.
And then also there's my YouTube channel that you can go and find, Sarita SOL. And then also I've got Patreon, and I do meditations live with people once a week. You can sign up different levels, or you
Oh
can
yeah,
just
we didn't we
access the
didn't talk about your
recordings.
Patreon. What do you want to share about your Patreon group?
Well, I just so I just do a live meditation once a week with my people on Patreon,
Okay.
and you can either join in the live or you can access the recordings. And that's a really fun kind of small community. We do lots of chatting, and we experiment with different things, and we do healings, and we just do all kinds of stuff. And it's growing. And I do Q&A on there once a month. And yeah, I love that community. It's very engaging, and we chat a lot.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, and people should find you if they're interested in expanding more who they are, or they just see you and they feel heart calling. I think that's how most things kind of work,
Yeah, if you
you
feel
know?
called, come along. I mean, essentially, I'm focused on speaking the words, focusing on healing,
Yeah,
manifestation, shamanism, becoming a shaman, and elevating your consciousness.
yeah, it's beautiful.
Finding the truth of who you are, really.
Amen. Like, yeah, the more I know, the less I know, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know. I'm there with. I'm with you with that one.
But I love it, and I love talking to you, and I love the positivity, and yeah, owning the truth of what you're creating, right? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. Sovereignty.
yeah, so it's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you
Rita,
so
thank
much.
you.
Been lovely
Yeah,
to talk to you.
yeah, lovely to talk to you. Okay, I'm just going to end our call here.